Welcome back to Fanshawe Learns. I'm Heather Senoran. I'm very pleased to welcome to the studio today Jenna Goodhand. She's a life coach here in London, and her primary focus is to help others to go from a place that looks to have little to no potential to a life of passion, productivity, and bliss. Thank you for joining us today, Jenna.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you very much. Now, you have a really great story, especially with the new community involvement that you have.
Yeah.
But let's backtrack a little bit, because your story and your past is very interesting. So why don't you tell me and the viewers some of the struggles that you went through in your teenage years and around that time?
Yeah, so I'm originally from London, and I had a lot of trouble with depression when I was in high school, and I was a high school dropout. I was a frequent drinker underage. I was very dependent on marijuana, and I smoked very heavily. And I had depression and anxiety for years, and I sort of looked out for all the opportunities to get support in the community, and I was never really finding it. And so I remember one day, after a few years of trying to get support, sort of standing outside of one of these centers and saying out loud, if I'm going to get better, I'm going to have to help myself. And it was sort of this empowering insight as to the power of teaching yourself how to cope and how to deal and how to move forward in your life. So from that point, I sort of coached myself to a life of positive affirmations and moving forward and sort of living out my own passions and my own dreams. And so that sort of brought me to where I am now, where I want to help other people do that as well.
And I hear you have a son as well that you're raising on your own. How has that changed your life?
It's been a whirlwind. Anyone who has a child knows that your life is completely different once you have that child, and it's just me and him. So it's been challenging doing my coaching practice, and I also run a community center. So he's sort of along for the ride, and it's been great. And yeah.
So let's talk about this community project, speaking of which. How did you get it started? Where did the idea come from? And what do you hope to give to the community?
Yeah, so I've always hoped to sort of have a center where people who have passions or projects they want to do but don't really know where to start can go somewhere and have that support. I called it the Hive, and I've been renting it out to other businesses to practice what they're doing. And then it's also open as a community center for people who want to share their passions with people or start a new project, and they can always meet with me absolutely free to talk about what it is they want to do.
I've seen some of the decor there. Can you explain a little bit about that?
Yeah, so all the art on the walls is local artists. I know I'm not an artist myself, but I have lots of friends who are, and it's very hard to get into galleries, and sometimes this takes years. I sort of put an ad out there, and anyone who wants local art on the walls, they can bring it there for others.
That's great.
Yeah.
So let's talk about your profession as a life coach.
Sure.
Who do you serve, and what services do you provide?
Yeah, so there's typically 3 different types of groups that I work with. My focus is sort of like a life course, so I want to help people get from a certain point to wherever the next point in their life is. For some people, that might be, they've been in a rut for years, depression, anxiety, that sort of stuff. And then, so I'm trying to get them out of that to the next phase of life and helping them, be able to cope with themselves. The next group of people is sort of the people who everything's okay, but they're sort of bored. They're sort of like, I've accomplished all the things I thought I was supposed to, but what am I going to do for the next 40 years of my life? And so it's helping them sort of reignite that passion. And the third group of people is people who have that passion and that dream, and they just don't know what to do with it.
You speak a lot about reaching your full potential.
Yeah.
It's like your motto.
Yeah. I think that, a lot of us don't know what that is. And until we push our own limits, then we can see, oh, I came from here and here I am now. Where else can I go? And it's just continuously pushing those limits of potential.
A lot of us are going on our internships, some of us in different provinces, different cities, new things. We've all been students. We've all, been a little stressed out. Maybe we're a little nervous about, this new path that we're taking. What kind of advice could you give to us?
I think, another motto I have is let your tragedy be your strategy. So whenever you're in a difficult new situation, think about the last time you were in a new and difficult situation and how you coped with getting through that. For some people, you might not have something to sort of compare it to, but just remember that you have everything inside of you that's going to help you get there, and you just have to tap into that. Be very intuitive, and be gentle with yourself. Don't be hard on yourself if things aren't going right away, and you'll get there.
Great. So lastly, I've heard that you are big on quotes on Facebook and Twitter. You're always posting a lot of quotes. So could you leave us with with a quote of the day that we can take with us after we leave?
Sure. So this month I've been looking at self-love, and I've been putting out self-affirmations every day. And an affirmation is just something to empower you throughout the day that you can say to yourself. And today's is, I will not be afraid to speak up when I'm uncomfortable. And this is just about being in touch with how you're feeling and, you know, respecting your own person and not letting others around you sort of influence how it is that you feel. So,
that's so great.
yeah.
Thank you very much for joining us today, Jenna.
Yeah, best
You've
of luck to
certainly
you.
inspired me and many others. Thank you so much. I wish
you.
you the best of luck.
You too.
Thank
Take
you.
care.
We'll be right back with more Fanshawe Learns after the break.